Hello everyone, Aaron from Mapit Accountancy here. So we're continuing our look here at your questions. So until we get some of your questions in, I'm just coming up with questions that you're likely to ask, questions that ACCA students generally want the answers to. And we're going to look now at the core question, the big question that everyone wants to know. How do I pass my exams? How do I pass an ACCA exam? So we're going to call this our 3 steps to freedom, because there's really only 3 simple steps in passing the ACCA exams. So we're going to go through them step by step. And if you follow this process for all of the modules that you sit, you should pass your ACCA exams. So the first thing to do is to, number 1, cover the syllabus. And I'm going to add an extra bit onto this, which is to cover the syllabus quickly. Because not only do you need to cover everything on the syllabus, but you need to get through it pretty quickly. Because in these ACCA exams, it's not syllabus knowledge that's going to get you through them. It's applying that syllabus knowledge. So what you need to do is, during that process, focus on the basics. So learn all of the basic calculations, learn the basic models if there are models to learn for that syllabus. Do simple illustrations. So keep those illustrations simple so that you learn how to do the basic calculations and basic discussion of theory areas. Now, what you need to do is then take that knowledge and feed it into your exam question practice. So for practicing exam questions, you simply need to do as many of these as possible, because it's not in your learning of the syllabus that you're going to learn how to pass your exams. Okay, you may get the knowledge from that, but it's in the practice where you're going to apply that knowledge to the exam standard questions. A lot of students will focus too much on this part, covering the syllabus, and leave out this bit, covering it quickly. You've got to get through it quickly, because remember, it's not a book that you're going to read when you go into the exam. It's an exam question that you're going to have to do. So you need to start focusing on exam questions as soon as possible and do as many questions as possible. Now, when I say that, I mean that coming up to the exam, let's say 3 weeks before the exam, at that point, you put away the book. You don't read any more syllabus knowledge. You should know it all by then. If not, too late to get it from the book. You're going to get it from the exam questions that you practice. And specifically, you're going to get it from the answers to those exam questions. So you do the question, and then you mark it accurately using the examiner's marking scheme. Using that and the examiner's answer, you'll get an accurate reflection of how you've done in that question, and that's crucially important. You don't want to give yourself marks that you shouldn't have got, but likewise you don't want to lose confidence by not getting marks that you should have got. So use that examiner's answer, number 1, to learn from, because remember, no book anymore, it's gone. And number 2, to mark it accurately to make sure that you're picking up the marks. Definitely, with 2 weeks to go before the exams, get rid of the book, burn the book. I don't care what you do with the book, but don't read it. Just go to your exam questions and do as many as you possibly can. And at that stage, your exam questions should be timed. So you have to do them under timed conditions. And you must do at least one full past paper, start to finish, within the time period. So 3 hours usually for your ACCA exams. So you must make sure that you've practiced under exam conditions a full 3-hour paper. Now, the last thing you need to focus on is exam technique for the particular paper that you're looking at. So there is general exam technique, such as focusing on your timing, leaving questions when your time is up, moving on to the next question. That's simple stuff. If you're towards the professional level of the ACCA, you'll know that because you can't get there without doing that. You'll soon start to realise if you don't finish the exam, you don't pass it. So that's the first thing. But then you've got to look at specific exam technique for particular papers. Now this is something we focus on in more detail in the revision courses that we offer. But for example, for F7 there are 5 questions. And each exam sitting, those 5 questions cover broadly the same areas. Question 1 is on groups. Question 2 is a trial balance. Question 3, cash flow statements and ratios. Questions 4 and 5 are on IFRS. Now, if you've got that knowledge, well then it's going to be much more easy to pass the exam. You need an exam technique for each of those 5 questions, which is what we can provide. Now, focus on that specific exam technique for each paper that you're sitting, because it's one thing learning the syllabus, but that's only half of it. The second part is applying the syllabus in the exam. And remember, we're not going into the exam to read a book or learn something. We're going in there to pass. We're going in there to answer questions. If you haven't answered loads and loads and loads of questions before you come in, you might get stumped. Something will come up that you haven't seen before. Whereas if you have answered loads of questions, you know your exam technique, well then you get in and you go, oh, I've seen this question before, or I've seen this asked in a different way before. I'll fit that answer into this. That is how to pass these exams. It's very simple, it's very straightforward, but it's very easy to get caught up and not follow that process. It's easy to get stuck here, to be covering the syllabus too much, to be learning a book, then getting another book, reading that, reading another book, reading over the same book twice, doing illustrations 2 or 3 times. Okay, if you're very lucky, it might be enough to pass, but if you want to be sure of passing, you need to take that knowledge and use it to practice your exam standard questions. That is where you're going to pass the exam. That and your exam technique for whatever paper it is that you're focusing on. So make sure that you apply these. If you've got any comments or questions, post them down below or email us questions. Remember, we'll select common or best questions around the ACCA exams or even CIMA exams, any accountancy exams, and we'll do a little video to clear up any problems that you're having.